billionaire married his mistress to finally have children until his ex-wife arrived with triplets. I promise to give you the family you deserve, the children my broken ex-wife could never provide. Those words echoed through the Belmont Estate ballroom. 200 guests in designer gowns and custom tuxedos raised their champagne glasses. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across white roses and orchids. A string quartet played softly in the corner. Everything was perfect. Everything was expensive. Everything was a lie. Landon Thorne stood at the altar in his $15,000 tuxedo, holding the hands of his bride, Valerie Cross. She looked radiant in her $40,000 wedding dress, tears of joy streaming down her perfectly made-up face. She had no idea she was marrying a man who had erased 3 children from his history. But I knew, and I was standing in the back of that ballroom with those 3 children beside me. My name is Autumn Hayes, and I was about to destroy the most beautiful lie Nashville had ever seen. I stepped out from behind the marble column where I had been hiding. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. My hands were shaking, but my voice, when it came out, was steady and clear. I object. The ballroom went silent. 200 faces turned toward me, and then 3 small voices joined mine. We object. Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby stepped into view. 7 years old. 2 boys in matching navy suits. 1 girl in a simple white dress. All 3 holding hands. All 3 staring at the father who had pretended they did not exist for their entire lives. Valerie's mouth fell open. Landon's face went white as snow. His confident smile disappeared. His hands started shaking. "David, who are they?" Valerie whispered, but the microphone picked it up. Her voice carried through the silent ballroom. Landon could not speak. He just stared at us like he was seeing ghosts. Owen stepped forward. He looked up at Landon with those same bourbon-colored eyes. "Hi, Dad. I'm Owen. I'm your son." Wyatt waved nervously. "Me too." Ruby walked right up to the altar, fearless and bold. "And I'm Ruby. You said Mommy was broken, but she's not broken. She's the strongest person I know." The ballroom erupted. People were shouting, gasping, standing up to see better. Phones came out. Cameras started recording. And I watched Landon Thorne's perfect wedding crumble into dust. But before I tell you what happened next, before I show you how a billionaire fell and a single mother rose, I need to know something. Have you ever been erased? Not just forgotten, but actively deleted from someone's story like you never existed? Have you ever been turned into the villain in someone else's fairy tale? That is what Landon did to me. For 7 years he told everyone I was infertile, that I could not give him children, that our marriage ended because I was broken. And while he was telling those lies, I was raising his 3 children alone, working double shifts, choosing between paying rent or buying groceries, crying myself to sleep, wondering how I would make it through another month. So when I saw his wedding announcement, when I read that interview where he said he was finally ready to be a father, something inside me snapped, not broke, snapped, like a rubber band stretched too far for too long. And I made a decision. Landon Thorne was going to face the truth. In front of everyone. In front of his new bride, his family, his friends, his business partners. All of Nashville was going to know what kind of man he really was. What you are about to hear is the true story of how I went from abandoned and broke to standing in that ballroom with my head held high. It is a story about lies and truth, about abandonment and survival, about justice delayed but not denied. And I promise you, if you have ever felt powerless, if you have ever wanted to stand up to someone who wronged you, if you have ever wondered whether truth really wins in the end, this story will answer that question. So do me a favor right now. If you believe truth should always win over lies, hit that like button. Subscribe to Love and Twilights with Dr. Phillips, because what you are about to hear will stay with you long after this video ends. Now, let me take you back to where this all started, 7 years earlier, when I still believed in fairy tales. My name is Autumn Hayes, and this is my story. 7 years earlier, Nashville, Tennessee, early autumn, when the leaves were just starting to turn gold and the air smelled like possibility. I was 26 years old, fresh out of culinary school, working as a pastry chef at a boutique hotel in downtown Nashville. I lived in a tiny studio apartment in East Nashville. My furniture came from thrift stores. My car was 12 years old and made weird noises when I accelerated. But I was happy. I was building something, Every morning, I woke up at 4:30 to start the day's pastries for the hotel. Croissants that took 3 days to make. Tarts filled with seasonal fruit. My specialty was lavender honey macarons with edible gold leaf. They were beautiful. Delicate purple shells with a honey cream filling that tasted like summer. I loved my work. There is something magical about creating beauty from scratch. Taking flour and butter and sugar and transforming them into something that makes people smile, that makes them close their eyes when they taste it and say, "Oh my God, where has this been all my life?" My dream was to open my own patisserie someday, something small and elegant, a place where every single pastry was a work of art, where people came not just for dessert, but for an experience. I know it sounds naive now, but back then, I believed dreams came true if you worked hard enough. One Saturday in October, I had a booth at a food and wine festival in downtown Nashville. It was a beautiful day, sunny and warm with a cool breeze. The festival was packed with people tasting local food and Tennessee wines. My booth featured my lavender honey macarons. I had made 300 of them, each one placed carefully on white serving trays, each one dusted with edible gold that caught the sunlight. I was busy serving customers when he appeared, Landon Thorne. I did not know who he was then. Did not know his family owned half the commercial real estate in Nashville. Did not know he was running a venture capital firm that invested millions in tech startups. All I knew was that he was handsome, sharp jawline, dark hair that looked professionally styled, eyes the color of expensive bourbon. He wore jeans and a casual button-down shirt, but even I could tell they were expensive. He picked up one of my macarons and studied it like it was art. Then he took a bite. His eyes closed. He chewed slowly. When he opened his eyes again, he was smiling. "These are exceptional," he said. His voice was deep and warm. "You made these?" "Every single one," I said. I was proud of my work. I had stayed up until 2 in the morning finishing them. He took another bite. "The lavender is subtle, not overpowering. And the honey, is that local?" "From a farm in Franklin," I said. "They have hives near lavender fields. The honey picks up the flavor naturally." "Brilliant," he said. He finished the macaron and immediately picked up another. "What is your background?" "Culinary school. Graduated 6 months ago from the Nashville Culinary Institute. Before that, I was teaching myself from YouTube videos and library books. Self-taught first. That is the sign of real passion." He extended his hand. "I am Landon. Autumn." I shook his hand. His grip was firm and warm. Autumn. Beautiful name for someone who makes beautiful things. He looked at my booth, at the sign I had made by hand that said, "Autumn's Artisan Creations." "Do you work for a restaurant?" "A hotel downtown, the Riverside. I do all their pastries." "And your dream?" "Everyone in this business has a dream." I hesitated. I did not usually share my dreams with strangers, but something about the way he asked, like he genuinely wanted to know, made me answer honestly. "I want to open my own patisserie someday. Something small and elegant. A place where every pastry is art." He smiled wider. "That is not a dream. That is a business plan waiting to happen." We talked for 20 minutes. He asked about my techniques, about where I found inspiration, about my favorite pastry chefs. He did not talk about himself at all. The whole conversation was about me, my work, my passion. When he finally left, he bought 2 dozen macarons. He also asked for my number. "For business purposes," he said with a smile that made my stomach flip. "I invest in food and beverage startups. When you are ready to open that patisserie, I would love to hear your pitch." I gave him my number. I did not think he would actually call. He called that night. Not about business. He wanted to know if I would have dinner with him. I said yes. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant in Germantown. Nothing fancy. Checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. We sat in a corner booth and talked for 3 hours. He asked about my childhood. I told him about growing up in Arizona with my single mother, Diane, how she worked 2 jobs to support us, how she taught me that hard work and determination could overcome anything. He told me about his childhood in Nashville, son of Richard and Caroline Thorne, old money family, expectations and pressure. His father wanted him to take over the family real estate business, but Landon wanted to do something different. So he started Thorne Capital Investments, funding tech startups and innovative businesses. "Do your parents approve?" I asked. My father does. Grudgingly. He respects results, and I have been delivering. My mother, on the other hand, Landon paused. She has very specific ideas about what my life should look like, who I should marry, how many children I should have. She thinks anyone outside our social circle is after the family money. Are you worried I am after your money? I asked. I was half joking but half serious. He reached across the table and took my hand. No, you did not even know who I was when we met. You were just excited about lavender honey and pastry technique. That is refreshing. We dated for 8 months, and they were wonderful months. Landon would show up at my apartment late at night with Thai takeout after I finished work. We would sit on my thrift store couch and talk about everything. Flavor profiles and investment strategies, childhood dreams and future plans. He made me laugh. He made me feel seen. He came to my pastry competitions and cheered louder than anyone. I went to his business dinners and tried not to feel out of place among women in diamonds and men discussing 7-figure deals. Whenever I felt intimidated, Landon would lean close and whisper, "You are the most interesting person in this room." And I would believe him. He asked me to marry him on a Tuesday morning. No fancy proposal, no photographer hiding in the bushes, just the two of us in my apartment kitchen. I was making cinnamon rolls, flour on my hands, hair in a messy bun. "Marry me," he said. I laughed. "You are joking." He pulled a ring box from his pocket. "I am not joking. Marry me, Autumn. Build a life with me. Open your patisserie. Have Sunday morning cinnamon rolls with our future kids. Just marry me." The ring was simple, a single diamond on a gold band, beautiful without being ostentatious. I said yes. We got married 3 months later. I wanted a small wedding. Landon agreed. We rented a garden venue outside Nashville. 50 guests, just family and close friends. I wore a simple ivory dress I found at a boutique in East Nashville. $200. It was perfect. Lace sleeves and a flowing skirt. I felt beautiful. My mother flew in from Arizona. She cried happy tears during the ceremony. My best friend Kit was my maid of honor. She had been my partner in culinary school before switching careers to journalism. Kit was now working as an investigative reporter for a Nashville news outlet. Landon's family attended. His father, Richard, was polite but distant. A tall man with gray hair and a firm handshake. He made a short toast at the reception about family legacy and continuing the Thorne name. Landon's mother, Caroline, barely spoke to me. She wore a lavender Chanel suit and a tight smile. During the reception, I overheard her talking to another guest. She is pretty, I suppose. Very young. I just hope she understands what is expected of a Thorne wife. Landon must have heard it too because he found me right after. Ignore her. She thinks anyone I date is not good enough. You are more than enough, Autumn. You, everything. I believed him. The first 2 years of marriage were good. Really good. We lived in a modern condo in the Gulch. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Nashville skyline. Hardwood floors and stainless steel appliances. It was Landon's condo, purchased before we met, but he made space for me. Cleared out a whole closet for my clothes. Converted a spare room into my recipe-testing kitchen. I continued working at the hotel. Landon continued building his investment firm. We were both busy, both driven, both building our futures. On weekends, we cooked dinner together. I would make fresh pasta. He would attempt to help and usually just end up covered in flour, making me laugh. We would drink wine and talk about our weeks. We talked about the future. Someday having kids. Someday opening my patisserie. Someday slowing down and enjoying life. Someday. But someday kept getting pushed further away. Landon's business grew. He was traveling more. Seattle, San Francisco, New York, meeting with potential investors and startup founders, coming home exhausted and distracted. When he was home, he was on his phone. Emails and calls about deals and investments. I understood. I was busy too. Sometimes I worked 12-hour shifts at the hotel for special events. We were still happy. Just busy. Then I got pregnant. It was a Tuesday morning when I found out. I had been feeling exhausted for weeks, nauseous every morning. My period was late, but I attributed that to stress. Finally, I bought a pregnancy test on my way home from work. I took the test in our condo bathroom. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. When I looked at the result, 2 pink lines stared back at me. Pregnant. I was terrified. We had talked about kids, but always in abstract terms. Someday. Not now. But I was also thrilled. A baby. Our baby. I decided to surprise Landon. I spent the afternoon making his favorite dessert, chocolate soufflé with raspberry coulis. Difficult and time-consuming, but worth it. I placed the pregnancy test in a small white gift box, tied it with a silver ribbon, set it next to his plate at our dining table. Then I waited. Landon came home at 8:30, later than expected. He was on his phone, talking to someone about a tech startup deal, some company in Austin that needed Series B funding. He barely glanced at the dining table, just walked past, still talking on his phone. "Landon," I said, "I need you to focus for a moment." He held up one finger. 1 minute, then continued his conversation. I waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Finally, he hung up and turned to me. "Sorry." "What is up?" "I made dinner. Chocolate soufflé. Your favorite." He looked at the table like he was seeing it for the first time. "Oh, that is really nice, Autumn. Thank you." He sat down, picked up his fork, still distracted. "Landon, open the box." "What box?" I pointed to the small white gift box next to his plate. He picked it up, looking confused. "Is it my birthday?" "Just open it." He untied the ribbon, opened the box, pulled out the pregnancy test. He stared at it for a long moment. His face was completely blank. "You are pregnant," he said. It was not a question, just a flat statement. "Yes," I said. I tried to smile. I was nervous. "I know we were not planning this yet, but I am about 8 weeks along. I went to the doctor today to confirm." "When did you find out?" "This morning. I wanted to surprise you." He set the pregnancy test down on the table. He did not look at me. "We need to talk about this," he said. My smile faded. "Talk about what?" Landon stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the Nashville skyline, his back to me. "Autumn, I am launching the biggest fund of my career right now. I am working 18-hour days, meeting with investors, traveling constantly. This is the worst possible timing." I felt cold. "Babies Don not really work on our timeline," I said. I tried to keep my voice light. "But we can handle this. Couples have babies and careers all the time. It is not just that." Landon turned to face me. "My mother is already on my case about you not contributing to the family legacy. If we have a baby now, you will have to quit your job. You will be completely dependent on me financially. It will make everything worse." "Worse?" I stood up. "You are talking about our baby like it is a problem." "I am being realistic," Landon said. His voice was sharp. "You are being emotional." "Emotional? Of course I am emotional. I am pregnant." "Exactly. You are not thinking clearly. You are not considering what this means." "I am considering that we are going to be parents," I said. I was crying now, that we created a life together, that this is supposed to be happy news. Landon ran his hands through his hair. He looked stressed, overwhelmed. Let us sleep on it. We will talk tomorrow when we are both calmer." We did not talk for the rest of the night. We went to bed in silence, lay next to each other in our king-size bed, miles apart. I barely slept. I kept thinking about his reaction, the coldness, the calculation. Where was the man who proposed to me in my kitchen? Who said he wanted Sunday morning cinnamon rolls with our future kids? The next morning, I had a follow-up appointment with my doctor. Just routine, they said. Another ultrasound to confirm dates and make sure everything looked normal. Landon did not come with me. He had a morning meeting he could not miss. I went alone. The ultrasound technician was a young woman named Sarah. She had kind eyes and gentle hands. She spread the cold gel on my stomach and moved the wand around. Then she frowned. "Is something wrong?" I asked. My heart started pounding. "No, nothing is wrong. But let me get the doctor." She left quickly. I lay on the exam table, staring at the ceiling, terrified. What if something was wrong with the baby? What if that was why I had been so sick? Dr. Patricia Chen came in a few minutes later. She was in her 50s with short gray hair and a calm demeanor. She took the ultrasound wand and looked at the screen. Then she smiled. "Miss Hayes, I have some surprising news." "Surprising?" My voice shook. "You are not carrying one baby. You are carrying 3. The room tilted. What? Triplets. Dr. Chen pointed at the screen. See here? 3 separate gestational sacs. 3 heartbeats. 2 boys and 1 girl, from what I can see. They are all healthy. Strong heartbeats. Good development for 8 weeks. 3 babies, I whispered. Yes. Congratulations. This is quite rare. Triplets occur in about 1 in every 8,000 pregnancies. I drove home in a complete daze. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. The city blurred past me. 3 babies. Not 1. 3. How would we afford 3 babies? 3 cribs. 3 car seats. 3 of everything. But also 3 little faces. 3 personalities. 3 lives to love and nurture. I was terrified. But also, somewhere deep down, I was excited. I found Landon in his home office. He was on a video call with someone. I could see them on his computer screen. A man in a suit talking about market projections. I stood in the doorway and waited. Landon saw me but did not end the call. Just held up 1 finger. 1 minute. I waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Finally, he ended the call and turned to me. How did the appointment go? I need to tell you something. Is everything okay? I took a deep breath. It is not 1 baby. It is 3. He just stared at me. What? Triplets. 2 boys and 1 girl. The doctor said they are all healthy. Strong heartbeats. She said it is very rare. Landon stood up. His face went pale. He looked like he might be sick. No, he said. No, absolutely not. This is impossible. It is not impossible. It is happening. I saw them on the ultrasound. 3 babies. Autumn. Landon walked toward me. Do you understand what 3 babies means? It means we are going to be very busy, I said. I tried to smile, but we can do this. My mom will help. We can hire a nanny eventually. Lots of people have multiples. 3 babies. Autumn. Do you understand the cost? 3 times the diapers. 3 times the formula. 3 times the childcare. 3 college tuitions. We cannot afford that. You are a millionaire, I said. The words came out before I could stop them. It is not about the money, Landon said. It is about my career, my life, everything I have been building. 4 children, Autumn. We will have 4 total children at once. I will never be able to travel, never be able to focus on work. My entire life will be destroyed before it even starts. Your life will be destroyed. What about my life? What about my career? You work at a hotel making pastries, Landon said. His voice was cold. I am running a multi-million-dollar investment firm. We are not the same. I felt like he had slapped me. Wow, I said quietly. I am sorry. I did not mean it like that. Landon rubbed his face. This is too much. This is not what I signed up for. What you signed up for? We are married. This is what marriage means. In sickness and health, for better or worse. You need to terminate the pregnancy, Landon said. I stared at him. What did you say? You need to end it. We can try again later. In a few years. 1 baby. Not 4. 3, I corrected automatically. I was in shock. Whatever. You need to terminate. You are only 8 weeks along. It is legal. It is safe. I am not doing that, I said. My voice was shaking. These are our children. They are not children yet. They are barely formed. Just clusters of cells. Clusters of cells with heartbeats. I saw their hearts beating on the screen, Landon. 3 hearts. 3 lives. I am not ready for this, Landon said. I will never be ready for this. If you keep them, I am leaving. You do not mean that. Yes, I do. His voice was flat. Final. I am not ready to be a father to 3 kids. I never will be. If you choose to keep this pregnancy, you are choosing to do it alone. So you are giving me an ultimatum. I could not believe this was happening. Them or you. Yes, exactly. Choose. I placed my hand on my stomach, where 3 tiny lives were growing. 3 babies who did not ask to be created, who were not responsible for their father's fear. I choose them, I said. Then we are done, Landon said. He walked past me out of the office. That conversation happened on a Tuesday. By Friday, Landon was gone. I came home from work on Friday evening and found the condo different. Quieter. Emptier. His clothes were gone from the closet. His shoes from the rack by the door. His laptop from his office. The photos of us from the shelves. On the kitchen table sat a stack of papers. Divorce documents. Already filled out. Already signed by him. There was no note. No explanation. Just legal paperwork asking me to dissolve our marriage. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. I sent a text. We need to talk. Please. No response. I called his office the next morning. The receptionist said he was unavailable. I sent an email. Please, Landon. We can work this out. No response. I tried calling his parents. They did not answer. For 2 weeks, I tried to reach him. Every attempt hit a wall. Every door was closed. Finally, I got a response, but not from Landon. From his lawyer. Ms. Hayes, I represent Landon Thorne in your divorce proceedings. Please direct all future communication to me. Mr. Thorne has instructed me to inform you that he has relocated to Atlanta and will not be returning to Nashville. He moved. He actually moved to another state to avoid me. The lawyer was named Richard Caldwell. He worked for one of Nashville's most expensive law firms. The divorce was brutal. I had signed a prenuptial agreement when we got married. I had been so in love, so trusting. I did not even read it carefully. Just signed where Landon's lawyer pointed. Now that prenup meant I got almost nothing. The condo was Landon's, purchased before our marriage. I had to move out within 30 days. The cars were his, leased through his company. The savings account was his, set up before our marriage. Because we had been married less than 3 years and I had continued working, I was not entitled to alimony. I would receive $10,000 and my personal belongings. That was it. I met with Caldwell in his office, a corner suite downtown with a view of the river. He sat behind a mahogany desk in his $1,000 suit and slid papers across to me. Mr. Thorne is also willing to provide an additional settlement, he said. How much? I asked. $10,000 was not going to last long. I was pregnant with triplets. Medical bills alone would be astronomical. $50,000, Caldwell said, in exchange for your signature on this agreement. He slid another document toward me. I read it, then read it again. This says I can never contact Landon or his family again. That I agree not to list him as the father on the birth certificates. That I waive all rights to child support. Correct, Caldwell said. Mr. Thorne believes a clean break is best for everyone. Best for everyone? I am pregnant with his children. Mr. Thorne disputes paternity. I felt like I had been punched. What? He disputes that he is the biological father. I have never been with anyone else. These are his children. Be that as it may, Mr. Thorne is unwilling to accept responsibility without a paternity test. And since you are not yet willing to undergo an amniocentesis, which could harm the fetuses, he prefers to simply move forward separately. Move forward separately, like I was a business deal gone bad. I looked at the agreement again. $50,000. That would cover my medical expenses. Give me a cushion while I figured out my next steps. I was living in a motel at that point. A weekly rental place off Dickerson Pike. $40 a night. I could not afford anything else. $50,000 would change my situation significantly. I picked up the pen. But something stopped me. My best friend Kit's voice in my head. A month earlier, when Landon had first served me with divorce papers, Kit had come over. She found me crying on the motel bed, surrounded by legal documents I did not understand. Kit was a journalist. She understood how powerful people operated, how they used money and lawyers to make problems disappear. Don't sign anything without a lawyer reviewing it first, she had said. Landon is trying to erase you, trying to erase his own children. Document everything. Save every text message, every email, every piece of evidence. Trust me, Autumn. The truth always matters. I put the pen down. I am not signing this, I said. Caldwell raised an eyebrow. Miss Hayes, I strongly encourage you to reconsider. $50,000 is a generous offer given the circumstances. The circumstances being that your client abandoned his pregnant wife. Mr. Thorne disputes your characterization of events. I am sure he does. But I am not signing. These babies deserve to know who their father is. And Landon Thorne deserves to be held accountable. If you do not accept this settlement, you will receive nothing beyond what the prenup stipulates. Then I will receive nothing. But I will not lie on my children's birth certificates. I will not pretend their father does not exist. I stood up and walked out of that office. I had $10,000, a motel room, and 3 babies on the way. But I had my integrity. 3 months later, on a freezing January morning, I gave birth to Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby. The delivery was complicated. Triplets usually are. I had a scheduled C-section at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. I was alone in the delivery room. My mother could not fly in until the next week. Kit was on assignment in Memphis. I had no husband, no partner, just me and a team of doctors and nurses. They pulled Owen out first. 5 pounds, 3 ounces. He came out screaming. Healthy lungs, the doctor said, smiling. Then Wyatt. 5 pounds even. Quieter than his brother. Then Ruby. 4 pounds, 12 ounces. The smallest, but the fiercest. She came out with her tiny fists clenched. The nurses cleaned them up and brought them to me. 3 tiny bundles, 3 perfect faces. I looked at them and felt overwhelming love and overwhelming terror. How was I going to do this alone? The hospital bill was $89,000. I had Medicaid, thankfully. It covered most of it, but there were still out-of-pocket expenses, co-pays and fees that added up to thousands. I stayed in the hospital for 4 days. Then they sent me home. Except I did not have a home. I had a motel room. I brought my 3 newborn babies to a motel room off Dickerson Pike. That first night was the hardest night of my life. All 3 babies cried. Not at the same time, which might have been easier. They took turns. As soon as I got one to sleep, another woke up. I had not slept in 48 hours. My C-section incision hurt. My breasts hurt from trying to breastfeed 3 babies. My entire body ached. At 3 in the morning, I sat on the motel bed with Ruby in my arms. Owen and Wyatt were finally asleep in their car seats because I did not have cribs yet. I looked around that dingy motel room. Stained carpet, flickering fluorescent light, the sound of the highway outside. This was my life now. And I cried. I cried harder than I had ever cried. But Ruby looked up at me with her tiny dark eyes. And something shifted. I could do this. I had to do this. These 3 babies were counting on me. I am your mom, I whispered to Ruby, and I am going to fight for you, all of you. I promise. My mother Diane arrived a week later. She stayed for 2 weeks, helping with the babies, showing me how to manage triplets. But Diane had her own health problems, diabetes and high blood pressure. She could not stay long. When she left, I was alone again. I moved out of the motel and into a tiny 2-bedroom apartment in Madison, a neighborhood north of downtown Nashville. The apartment was cheap, $500 a month, but it was rough. Thin walls, old carpet, neighbors who played music until 2 in the morning, but it was ours. 1 bedroom for me, 1 bedroom for 3 cribs placed side by side. I applied for every assistance program available, WIC for formula and baby food, food stamps, Medicaid for the baby's health insurance. The woman at the social services office looked at my paperwork. The father is listed as Landon Thorne? She asked. The venture capitalist? Yes. Have you filed for child support? He does not want anything to do with them. That is not how child support works, honey. He has a legal obligation. You should file. So I tried. I filed a child support claim with the state, filled out all the forms, submitted the birth certificates that clearly listed Landon Thorne as the father. Then I waited. 2 months later, I got a response. From Landon's lawyers. They were contesting paternity, demanding DNA tests, claiming I might have been unfaithful during our marriage. It was absurd, but it worked. It tied everything up in legal red tape. I could not afford a lawyer. Legal aid said they were overbooked. I was on a waiting list. The case stalled, and Landon paid nothing, not $1 in 7 years. Meanwhile, I was drowning. I could not work, not with 3 infants. Childcare for triplets cost more than I could possibly earn, so I survived on assistance. Food stamps bought our groceries. Medicaid covered doctor visits. My mother sent what little money she could. It was not enough. It was never enough. When the babies were 2 years old, I started a small business from home. Autumn's Artisan Cakes. Kit helped me set up a website and social media pages. I baked cakes after the kids went to sleep. Birthday cakes for neighbors. Anniversary cakes for friends. I charged barely anything at first. Just enough to cover ingredients. I needed the practice. Needed to rebuild my skills after 2 years away from professional baking. But slowly, word spread. Autumn makes the most beautiful cakes. Have you tried her cardamom rose cake? The flavor combinations are incredible. I started getting orders from across Nashville. Wealthier clients. People who appreciated artistry and were willing to pay for it. By the time the triplets were 5, I was getting regular orders. Enough to hire 2 part-time assistants. Enough to move my operation into a small commercial kitchen space I rented. Money was still tight. So tight. But I was building something. The triplets grew, and they were wonderful. Owen was serious and thoughtful, always looking out for his younger siblings. If Wyatt fell down, Owen helped him up. If Ruby could not reach something, Owen got it for her. Wyatt was the peacemaker, funny and energetic. When Owen and Ruby fought, Wyatt would make silly faces until they laughed. Ruby was creative and bold. She drew elaborate pictures, made up stories, asked a million questions. They were smart, all 3 reading before kindergarten, curious about everything. When they were old enough to understand, I told them about their father. We were sitting at our small kitchen table. I had made spaghetti for dinner. Their favorite. You know you have a father, I said. His name is Landon Thorne. Where is he? Owen asked. He lives far away, in another city. Why does not he live with us? Ruby asked. I chose my words carefully. Your daddy was not ready to be a father when you were born. He made a choice to leave. Did he not want us? Wyatt's voice was small. I do not know what he wanted, baby, but I know what I want. I want you 3. Always. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Does he know about us? Ruby asked. Yes, sweetheart. He knows. Does he ever think about us? I felt my heart break. I do not know, but I think about you every second of every day. I hugged them close, all 3 climbing into my lap even though they were getting too big. My babies. They were not Landon's loss. They were his. For 7 years, I focused on survival, on building my business, on raising 3 incredible children. I thought I had moved on, thought Landon Thorne was just a name from my past, a mistake I had learned from. I was wrong. One October afternoon, everything changed. I was in my commercial kitchen, working on a 5-tier wedding cake, carefully applying fondant roses to the top tier. Kit walked in. She had a key because she helped me sometimes with deliveries, but she was not there to help today. Her face was grim. She carried her laptop. You need to see this, she said. She set her laptop on my work counter, pulled up a Society page article from a Nashville magazine. The headline read, Thorne to wed Cross, Nashville's power couple makes it official. There was a photo. Landon in a designer suit, a blonde woman in a white dress, both of them smiling at the camera. I stared at the screen. Landon was getting married. According to the article, the wedding would be held at the Belmont Estate, one of Nashville's most exclusive venues. The bride was Valerie Cross, former model turned wellness entrepreneur. That is not the worst part, Kit said quietly. She pulled up another article, an interview Landon had done with a lifestyle magazine. My hands started shaking before I even started reading. The interviewer asked Landon about his first marriage. Landon's response, my ex-wife struggled with some personal issues. She wanted children, but was unable to have them. It put a tremendous strain on our marriage. Eventually, we had to go our separate ways. It was painful but necessary. The interviewer asked about his plans with Valerie. Landon's response, Valerie is everything I've been looking for. She's vibrant, healthy, and excited about starting a family. I can't wait to be a father. That's been my dream for years, but it wasn't possible in my first marriage. I read the words 3 times. Unable to have children. Wasn't possible in my first marriage. 7 years of silence. 7 years of raising 3 children alone. 3 children who looked exactly like him. And he was telling the world I was infertile. I felt rage. Pure, white-hot rage. He did not just abandon us. He erased us. He turned me into a villain in his story. The broken wife who could not give him children. While I worked 70-hour weeks to feed our kids, He was rewriting history. Kit watched me carefully. "What do you want to do?" "I want to destroy him," I said quietly. Kit smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Then let's destroy him." We spent the next 3 weeks planning. Kit used her investigative journalism skills to gather evidence. She found the birth certificates listing Landon as father, medical records from my pregnancy, text messages where Landon had demanded I terminate, divorce documents. She also discovered something interesting. Landon's family did not know about the triplets. His parents, Richard and Caroline, believed Landon's story about me being unable to conceive. They had been pressuring him to remarry and give them grandchildren. This wedding was his fresh start, built on a complete lie. The wedding was set for November 12th, a Saturday afternoon ceremony followed by an evening reception. "We need to get in," Kit said, "but it's private. Security will be tight." "I have an idea," I said. I reached out to the wedding coordinator through my business website, sent a professional pitch. "Hello, my name is Autumn Hayes, and I run Autumn's Artisan Cakes. I understand you have your wedding cake arranged, but I would love to provide artisan petit fours as guest favors. I am trying to break into the high-end wedding market and would offer this at cost." The coordinator, stressed and overwhelmed with last-minute details, responded within an hour. "That sounds lovely. Can you have 200 petit fours ready by Saturday?" "Yes, absolutely. Perfect. Deliver them by 1 p.m. We were in. The night before the wedding, I could not sleep. I sat with my children in our small living room. We had moved to a better apartment by then. 2 bedrooms still, but in a safer neighborhood, with a small backyard where the kids could play. "Tomorrow is a big day," I told them. "Are we really going to see our dad?" Wyatt asked. "Yes. What if he does not like us?" Ruby's voice was small. I pulled Ruby into my lap. "Baby girl, this is not about whether he likes you. This is about him taking responsibility. This is about the truth." "Will he be mad?" Owen asked. "Probably. But sometimes people need to be uncomfortable before they can do the right thing." I had laid out their outfits on the couch, navy suits for the boys, a white dress for Ruby. I had made Ruby's dress myself, stayed up late for weeks getting every detail perfect. I looked at my 3 children, 7 years old, smart and funny and kind. They deserved so much better than a father who pretended they did not exist. Tomorrow, Landon Thorne was going to face the truth, and all of Nashville would watch. The morning of November 12th arrived cold and clear. I woke up at 5 a.m., even though my alarm was not set until 6. My heart was already racing. Today was the day. I showered and dressed carefully. A simple black dress, nothing flashy. I wanted to look dignified, not desperate. Professional, not vengeful, even though I absolutely felt vengeful. I made breakfast for the kids. Pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse, their favorite. They needed something normal before everything changed. Owen barely ate. He was too nervous. Wyatt ate 3 pancakes, but kept fidgeting with his napkin. Ruby was quiet. She usually talked nonstop at breakfast, but today she just pushed her food around her plate. "Are you scared?" I asked them. "A little," Owen admitted. "Me too," I said. "But we are doing this together, and no matter what happens, we have each other, okay?" "Okay," they said in unison. Kit arrived at 10 a.m. She had her camera equipment and a bag full of backup supplies. Extra batteries, extra memory cards. She was not taking any chances. "You ready for this?" Kit asked me. "No," I said honestly. "But I'm doing it anyway." The drive to the Belmont estate took 20 minutes. I parked a block away. I did not want anyone seeing our dented 12-year-old sedan next to the BMWs and Mercedes that would fill the venue parking lot. We sat in the car for a moment, the kids in the back seat, Kit in the passenger seat, me gripping the steering wheel. "This is it," Kit said softly. "Last chance to back out." I looked in the rearview mirror at my 3 children. They were wearing their navy suits and white dress. They looked so grown up, so brave. "I am not backing out," I said. We got out of the car. I held Owen's hand. Wyatt held Ruby's hand. Kit carried the boxes of petit fours I had made, 200 of them, lavender honey macarons with edible gold leaf, the same flavor Landon had tasted 7 years ago when we met. The irony was not lost on me. The Belmont estate was even more beautiful than the photos online. A historic mansion with white columns and perfectly manicured gardens. The kind of place that cost $30,000 just to rent for a day. We entered through the vendor entrance, a side door that led to the kitchen area. The wedding coordinator was a woman in her 40s named Michelle. She was stressed and running around with a clipboard and a headset. "Autumn's artisan cakes?" she asked when she saw me. "Yes, I have the petit fours. Perfect. Set them up on the dessert table in the ballroom. Through those doors." She pointed and then rushed off to deal with some crisis involving the flower arrangements. Kit and I exchanged a look. We were in. We walked through the doors into the ballroom, and I felt my breath catch. It was stunning. White flowers everywhere. Roses, peonies, orchids, hundreds of candles in crystal holders, a string quartet setting up in the corner, crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than I made in a year. Everything was perfect. Everything was expensive. Everything was built on lies. I found the dessert table at the back of the ballroom, near a marble column that would provide good cover. Kit and I carefully arranged the petit fours on silver trays. We worked slowly, taking our time. The ceremony did not start until 2 p.m. It was only 12:30. Kit set up her camera equipment, a professional video camera on a tripod, positioned to look like she was documenting the desserts for portfolio purposes, but the angle would capture the altar perfectly. I texted the babysitter who was waiting in the car with the kids. "Not yet. I will text you when it is time." Then we waited. Guests started arriving at 1:30. I watched from behind the dessert table as Nashville's elite filed into the ballroom. Women in designer gowns, Dior, Chanel, Valentino, diamonds and pearls. Hair done in elaborate updos that probably cost $500 each. Men in custom tuxedos, Rolex watches, Italian leather shoes. I recognized some faces from Nashville society pages. Landon's business partners, local celebrities, a country music star I had seen on TV, a news anchor, a city councilman, all here to celebrate a lie. At 1:45, Landon's parents arrived. I had not seen Richard and Caroline Thorne in 7 years. They looked older. Richard's hair was completely gray now. Caroline was elegant in a lavender dress and an elaborate hat. They sat in the front row. Caroline was smiling, chatting with the woman next to her, excited for her son's wedding, excited for him to finally start a family. If she only knew, she had 3 grandchildren sitting in a car a block away, 3 grandchildren she had never met, never held, never even knew existed. At 2 p.m. exactly, the music changed. The processional began. Everyone stood and turned toward the back doors. The bridesmaids entered first, 6 women in champagne-colored gowns. They walked down the aisle in pairs, carrying white bouquets. Then the groomsmen, 6 men in tuxedos matching Landon's. Then Landon himself took his place at the altar. I felt my stomach clench. He looked good. I hated that he looked good. Custom tuxedo that fit perfectly. Hair styled, confident smile. He looked like a man who had everything he wanted. A man with no regrets. The wedding march began. Everyone stood, and Valerie appeared. She was beautiful. I could admit that. Tall and blonde with perfect posture. Her wedding dress was stunning. $40,000 according to Kit's research. Lace and silk with a long train. She walked down the aisle with her father. Her face was radiant. She looked at Landon with complete adoration. She had no idea she was marrying a man who had abandoned 3 children. My hands clenched into fists. Kit leaned close and whispered, "Almost time." The ceremony began. The officiant was an older man with white hair and a gentle voice. He welcomed everyone, talked about love and commitment and building a life together. Every word felt like a knife. Then came the vows. Valerie went first. She cried as she spoke, talked about how Landon was her best friend, her soulmate, her future. "I promise to love you forever. I promise to support your dreams. I promise to build a beautiful family with you. I cannot wait to have children with you and grow old together." Some guests wiped their eyes. Caroline smiled proudly from the front row. Then it was Landon's turn. He took Valerie's hands, cleared his throat, spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Valerie, you are everything I have been waiting for. You are kind, beautiful, and strong. I promise to give you the family you deserve. I promise to be the husband you need." He paused, looked out at the guests. making sure they were all listening. And I promised to give you the children my broken ex-wife could never provide. I promised to finally be the father I have always wanted to be, to build the family that was impossible in my first marriage. The ballroom went quiet. Some guests shifted uncomfortably. A few glanced at each other, but Valerie smiled, squeezed his hands. She did not notice the awkwardness. She only heard the promise of children, of family. But I heard broken. 7 years of struggling to feed our children. 7 years of working until I collapsed. 7 years of doctor visits and school plays and bedtime stories. All alone. And he called me broken. This was the moment. I texted the babysitter. Now, I stepped out from behind the marble column. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might faint. But my voice came out steady and clear. I object. The ballroom went completely silent. 200 heads turned toward me. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then the back doors opened, and 3 small voices rang out in perfect unison. We object. Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby stepped into the ballroom, holding hands, navy suits and white dress, 7 years old, standing in a line. The ballroom erupted. Gasps, shocked whispers, people standing to see better, phones coming out. Valerie stared at the children, confused. Landon, who are they? But Landon could not speak. His face had gone completely white. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His hands were shaking. I walked forward. My children walked with me. Kit followed, camera rolling. Our footsteps echoed on the marble floor. Every eye in the ballroom followed us. We walked past rows of designer-dressed guests, past Landon's business partners, past his family members, past everyone who had believed his lies. We reached the altar. I looked at Landon. His face was white as paper. He looked like he had seen ghosts. Maybe he had. The ghosts of the children he tried to erase. Owen stepped forward. He looked up at Landon for the first time, studied his face. Same eyes, same nose, same chin. Hi, Dad, Owen said. His voice was clear and steady. I am Owen. I am your son. Wyatt waved nervously. I am Wyatt. I am your son too. Ruby walked right up to Landon, fearless. And I am Ruby. You said Mommy was broken, but she is not broken. She is the strongest person I know. Caroline Thorne stood up from the front row. Her hand flew to her mouth. What? Valerie stumbled backward. Landon, what did they just say? What is happening? I stepped forward, spoke loudly. Every person in this ballroom needed to hear the truth. My name is Autumn Hayes. 7 years ago, I was Autumn Thorne, Landon's first wife. More gasps. More whispers. Landon just told you all that I could not give him children, that I was broken. That is interesting because I would like to introduce you to Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby Thorne, our children, the triplets I gave birth to 7 years ago. I turned and looked directly at Landon. The children Landon told me to abort. The children he has been denying exist for their entire lives. The ballroom exploded. People were shouting, standing. Phones were out everywhere, recording. Valerie's face crumpled. No, he told me. You could not. He said, you were infertile. I pulled the documents from my purse, held them up so everyone could see. I have birth certificates. All 3 list Landon Thorne as the father. I have medical records from my pregnancy. I have text messages where he demanded I terminate. I have divorce papers where his lawyers tried to pay me to never contact him again. Caroline was standing now. Her face was red, tears streaming down her cheeks. Landon? Tell me this is not true. Richard stood next to his wife. His face was purple with rage. But the rage was not directed at me. It was directed at his son. Owen pulled something from his pocket. A tiny hospital bracelet. White and faded, but the name was still clearly visible. Owen Thorne. He placed it carefully on the altar. Wyatt did the same with his bracelet. Wyatt Thorne. Ruby placed hers next to her brother's. Ruby Thorne. 3 tiny bracelets in a row, all with the same last name. Undeniable proof. Valerie stared at the bracelets, then at the children, then at Landon. The resemblance was impossible to miss. They had his eyes, his nose, his jawline. Her hands started shaking. The bouquet fell to the floor. "You lied to me," she said. Her voice was breaking. "You said she could not have children. You made me feel sorry for you. You told everyone you were finally going to be a father." She paused, the realization hitting her. "But you already are a father." She ripped the veil from her head, threw it at Landon. "This wedding is over. We are done. Forever." She ran down the aisle. Her bridesmaids scrambled after her. The doors slammed behind them. Chaos. Absolute chaos. Guests were shouting questions. Richard was demanding answers. Caroline was sobbing. Kit's camera captured everything. Richard approached Landon. His face was a mask of fury. "Are these children yours?" His voice echoed through the ballroom. "Dad, I can explain." Landon's voice was weak, desperate. "Are they yours?" Landon looked at Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby. 3 children who looked exactly like him. There was no denying it. No escape. "Yes," he whispered. Caroline let out a sob that sounded like it came from her soul. 3 grandchildren. 7 years. "You kept 3 grandchildren from us?" She moved toward the children, fell to her knees in front of them, her expensive dress pooling on the marble floor. "I am so sorry," she said to them. "I did not know. I had no idea you existed." Owen looked uncertain. Wyatt stepped back. Ruby stared at this crying woman who was apparently their grandmother. I stepped forward and put my hands on my children's shoulders. Protective. Caroline looked up at me. Her makeup was running. Her hat had fallen off. I do not know what to say. If I had known. She could not finish the sentence. Richard was still confronting Landon. "That is unconscionable. Those are your children. Our grandchildren. How could you?" Kit stepped forward. Camera still rolling. "I am Kit Brennan, investigative journalist. I have documented everything Ms. Hayes described. Birth certificates, medical records, text messages where Mr. Thorne demanded she terminate the pregnancy. All verified. Mr. Thorne has 3 biological children he has denied for 7 years. This footage will be published. The guests were recording on their phones. The story was already spreading. I could see people typing frantically, posting to social media in real time. Landon's world was collapsing. He tried to speak, tried to explain. But what explanation could possibly suffice? Richard turned to me. May I meet them?" His voice cracked. "May I meet my grandchildren?" I hesitated. These people had been part of the system that abandoned us. But they also had not known the truth. Landon had lied to them too. I nodded slowly. Richard knelt down to the children's level. "Hello, I am your grandfather." Ruby, always the boldest, spoke first. "We did not know we had grandparents." "Well, you do," Richard said. Tears were streaming down his face now too. "And if your mother allows it, we would very much like to be part of your lives." Caroline joined him, kneeling in her expensive dress on the marble floor. "You are beautiful," she said to the children. "All 3 of you." An older woman approached. I recognized her from the photos Kit had shown me. Landon's Aunt Margaret. She walked past Landon without even looking at him. Came straight to me. "I am so sorry," she said. "I never knew. If I had known." She hugged me. "You are incredibly brave." Other guests were approaching now. Some to offer support. Some just to stare. Some recording everything on their phones. Landon stood alone at the altar, surrounded by white flowers and shattered lies. I gathered my children. "Come on, babies. We are leaving." We walked back down the aisle together, Owen holding my right hand, Wyatt and Ruby on my left. Kit walked beside us, camera still rolling. As we reached the doors, I heard Landon's voice behind us. "Autumn, wait, please." I stopped, turned around. He was walking toward us, his perfect tuxedo suddenly looking rumpled, his confident demeanor completely gone. "I am sorry," he said. "I am so sorry." I was scared. I was not ready. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice," I said. "You had 7 years to make a different choice. 7 years to be a father. You chose not to be, and now you have to live with that. Please, let me explain to them. Let me try." I looked down at Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby. "Owen, do you want to hear what your father has to say?" Owen looked at Landon, then looked back at me. "No," Owen said. "We already have everything we need. "We have, Mom." Wyatt and Ruby nodded. I looked at Landon. "You heard them." We walked out of the Belmont estate into the bright November afternoon. Behind us, the ballroom was still in chaos. In front of us was our car and our future. Kit was smiling as we walked. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. The video is already uploading to my cloud. This is going to be everywhere by tonight. I should have felt triumphant, victorious. Instead, I just felt tired and relieved. It was done. The truth was out. Landon could never again claim I was broken, could never again erase our children. We drove to our favorite pizza place, a small local restaurant with red checkered tablecloths and a jukebox in the corner. We ordered a large pepperoni pizza and 4 lemonades. "Did we do the right thing?" Owen asked. He looked worried. "Yes, baby. We told the truth. That is always right." "What happens now?" Wyatt asked. "Now we go home. And tomorrow we get up and we go to school and work, just like always." Ruby was quiet. She was drawing on the paper placemat with crayons the restaurant provided. "What are you drawing, sweetheart?" I asked. "Our family," Ruby said. She held up the placemat. She had drawn 4 stick figures holding hands. 3 small, 1 tall, all smiling. "That is beautiful," I said. "We do not need a daddy," Ruby said matter-of-factly. "We have you." That night, after I tucked the children into bed, I sat in our small living room and checked my phone. Kit had not been exaggerating. The video was everywhere. It had 2 million views already. News outlets were picking it up. Headlines were brutal. Billionaire exposed for abandoning triplets at own wedding. Nashville VC lied about ex-wife being infertile, gets exposed by his own children. 3 children crash father's wedding with devastating truth. Landon Thorne was trending on Twitter. The comments were savage. Imagine abandoning 3 kids and then calling their mother broken. Disgusting. Those children are beautiful. He is the broken one. I hope she takes him for everything he is worth. Child support for 7 years plus interest. My phone was exploding with messages. Friends I had not talked to in years. Former coworkers. Random people sending support. "You are a hero. Thank you for speaking truth. Your children are lucky to have you." Someone had started a GoFundMe for the kids' college education. It already had $47,000 donated. I started crying. Not sad tears. Overwhelmed tears. Kit called. "Have you seen the news?" "I have seen some of it." "Autumn, you broke the internet. This is the top story on every news site. I have been contacted by 3 national morning shows. They want to interview you." "I do not know if I want that," I said. "Think about it. You could help other single mothers. Show them they are not alone." "I will think about it." That night, I could not sleep. My mind was racing, replaying the wedding, the look on Landon's face, the sound of my children's voices saying, "We object." But I also thought about what came next. Now, before I tell you what happened in the days and weeks after that wedding, I want to ask you something. Have you ever stood up to someone who wronged you? Have you ever demanded the truth even when it was terrifying? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you are invested in this story, if you want to know how this ends, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next will restore your faith in justice. The Monday after the wedding, I received a phone call. "Miss Hayes, my name is Patricia Moreno. I am a senior partner at Moreno & Associates. We are a family law firm here in Nashville." "Okay," I said cautiously. "We saw the news about your situation. We would like to represent you pro bono in a child support case against Landon Thorne." I sat down. "Pro bono? That means free?" "Yes. Mr. Thorne has evaded his responsibilities for 7 years. We would like to help you rectify that. We believe your case is strong, and we have the resources to see it through. Why would you do this for free?" "Because it is the right thing to do. And frankly, the publicity from this case will be good for our firm. But mostly because those 3 children deserve financial support from their father." I met with Patricia and her team on Tuesday. Their offices were downtown in a high-rise building. Glass walls and modern furniture. Very expensive looking. Patricia was in her 50s with short silver hair and sharp eyes. She had 2 associates with her, both young women with laptops and legal pads. They asked me questions for 2 hours, documented everything, recorded my answers. Then Patricia laid out the case. "We are going to file for 7 years of back child support. Based on Mr. Thorne's income, which we can now access thanks to public pressure. We estimate you're owed approximately $980,000. I felt dizzy. $980,000? That is just back support. We will also file for ongoing support until the children turn 18. Based on Tennessee guidelines and his income level, that will be approximately $15,000 per month. Over the next 11 years, that is almost $2 million additional. Plus, Patricia continued, we are going to push for college funds. He should be contributing to their education. We are thinking $600,000 total, $200,000 per child. I could not speak. The numbers were incomprehensible. Miss Hayes, are you okay? That is over $3 million. It is what your children deserve, Patricia said firmly. Mr. Thorne has been living a very comfortable life while you struggled. That ends now. Landon's lawyers tried to fight it. Of course they did. But the evidence was overwhelming. The birth certificates, the medical records, the DNA test they finally demanded proved what we already knew. Landon was the biological father, and now, with the whole world watching, he could not hide his assets. His lawyers could not tie things up in red tape. Public pressure was too intense. His business partners issued a statement distancing themselves from him. Several investors pulled out of his fund. His reputation was destroyed. 3 weeks later, his lawyers called Patricia. Mr. Thorne would like to settle. The settlement offer was actually higher than what Patricia had calculated. $3.2 million, to be paid in a lump sum within 60 days. Plus, Landon would establish trust funds for each child. $5 million total. The children could not access the money until they turned 25, but it would be there, earning interest, securing their futures. Patricia presented me with the paperwork. This is a good deal, Autumn. Better than we would get in court, and much faster. I stared at the numbers. Life-changing money. Money that would mean my children never struggled the way I had struggled. I will sign, but I have one condition. What is that? I want supervised visitation rights. If Landon wants to see the children, he can. But it has to be supervised by a therapist, and the children get to decide if they want to continue visits. Their comfort comes first. Patricia nodded. I will add that to the settlement. The settlement was finalized in early December. $3.2 million deposited into my account. I stared at my bank balance and cried. For 7 years I had been making impossible choices. Rent or groceries, doctor visit or electricity bill, one pair of shoes shared between 3 children. Now, those days were over. But something else happened that surprised me. Richard and Caroline Thorne requested a meeting. Just them and me. No lawyers. We met at a quiet restaurant in downtown Nashville. They were already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, looking nervous. Thank you for meeting with us, Richard said as I sat down. Caroline's eyes were red. She had been crying. We owe you an apology, Richard said. We should have known. We should have questioned Landon's story more carefully. You believed your son, I said. That's natural. It is no excuse, Caroline said. Her voice was shaking. We missed 7 years with our grandchildren. 7 years of birthdays and Christmases and first days of school. We can never get that back. She looked at me with desperate eyes. We would very much like to be part of their lives now, if you will allow it. I had thought about this, prayed about it, talked it over with Kit. Supervised visits at first, I said. We will take it slowly. The children need stability. They need to feel safe. Of course, Richard agreed immediately. Whatever you think is best. And I need to be clear, I continued. I am not interested in your money beyond what Landon owes for child support. I do not want the children growing up thinking wealth solves everything. Caroline smiled for the first time. A real smile. You are exactly the kind of mother they need. The first grandparent visit happened the following weekend. We met at a park. Neutral territory. I was there the whole time, watching. Richard and Caroline brought age-appropriate gifts. Books for Owen, who loved reading. Art supplies for Ruby, who loved drawing. A science kit for Wyatt, who was curious about everything. Nothing excessive. Nothing trying to buy affection. Just thoughtful gifts. Caroline sat on a park bench with Ruby. Tell me about your drawings, she said. Ruby, who was usually shy with strangers, opened up. She pulled out her sketchbook and showed Caroline page after page of elaborate pictures. I like to draw our family, Ruby said. See, this is me and Owen and Wyatt and Mommy. Your drawings are beautiful, Caroline said. tears in her eyes again. Richard played catch with Owen and Wyatt. He asked them about school, about their friends, about what they wanted to be when they grew up. "I want to be a lawyer," Owen said, "so I can help people like Mom." Richard smiled. "That is a wonderful goal." By the end of the visit, the children were smiling, laughing even. As we were leaving, Owen hugged Richard. It was brief and a little awkward, but it was a start. "Thank you for coming," Owen said. Richard looked like he might cry. "Thank you for giving me a chance to know you." The visits became regular, every other weekend. Richard and Caroline would take the kids to museums, to parks, to the zoo, building relationships slowly. They were never trying to replace me. They respected my role as the children's mother, but they were adding to the kids' lives, giving them grandparents who showed up. With the settlement money, I could finally pursue my dream. In January, I signed a lease on a beautiful brick building in East Nashville, prime location on a busy street, perfect for a bakery. I spent 3 months renovating, hiring contractors, designing the space exactly as I had always imagined. White subway tiles, marble counters, glass display cases, a small seating area with vintage tables and chairs, and a sign above the door that said Autumn's Patisserie. Kit documented the whole process, not for viral videos this time, just for our personal memories. The grand opening was in April. Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby helped me cut the ribbon. They wore matching aprons I had made for them, white with their names embroidered in gold thread. The line wrapped around the block. People came for the pastries, but they also came because they knew my story. I had become a symbol of something. Single mother resilience. Truth prevailing over lies. The underdog winning. My lavender honey macarons sold out in the first hour. A woman in her 30s approached me near closing time. She had a toddler on her hip. "I just want to say thank you," she said. "I am a single mom too. I saw your story. It gave me hope that things could get better." I hugged her. "It does get better. Keep going." The bakery thrived. Within 6 months, I had to hire 10 employees. Within a year, I was looking at opening a second location. But more importantly, I was doing what I loved. Creating beautiful pastries, making people smile, building something that was mine. One evening, about a year after the wedding exposure, Kit came to the bakery after closing. She had her laptop with her and that look on her face. The look that meant she had news. "You are not going to believe this," she said. "What?" "I have been approached by a publisher. They want you to write a book." "A book?" "Your story. Recipes. Advice for single mothers. They think it could be huge. They are offering a significant advance." Kit showed me the offer. It was a lot of money, more than I had made in my first 3 years of running the bakery. But more than the money, it was an opportunity to help other women. How many single mothers were out there right now, struggling the way I had struggled, wondering if they could make it, wondering if truth ever really won? I could tell them yes. Yes, you can make it. Yes, truth matters. Yes, there is hope. "I will do it," I said, "but only if we tell the whole truth. The hard parts too. The nights I cried myself to sleep. The times I wanted to give up. All of it. The truth is what makes it powerful," Kit said. I spent 6 months writing the book. It was harder than I expected. Revisiting those painful memories. The motel room. The hospital bills. The desperation. But it was also cathartic. Like I was finally closing that chapter of my life. The book was titled 3 Times Blessed, A Mother's Journey from Abandonment to Triumph. It was published the following spring, and it became a bestseller. I went on a book tour. Nashville, Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. At every stop, women lined up to tell me their stories. Single mothers, working 3 jobs. Divorced women whose ex-husbands paid nothing. Women who had been called broken, damaged, less than. I signed their books, hugged them, told them they were not alone. I donated a portion of the proceeds to organizations supporting single parents, shelters, food banks, legal aid clinics. The money Landon had given in the settlement was not just changing my life. It was changing hundreds of lives. As for Landon, he had become a pariah in Nashville. Valerie had given an interview to a magazine, calling him a pathological liar. His business partner had asked him to step back from public-facing roles. Several clients left his fund. He eventually moved to Charlotte, started over in a new city where people did not know his story. He had requested one visit with the children. The settlement allowed for supervised visits if both parties agreed. I agreed. The children deserved the option. The visit happened at a therapist's office, neutral space, a counselor present to help navigate the conversation. Landon brought expensive gifts, remote control cars for the boys, a massive dollhouse for Ruby. The children were polite but distant. Landon did not know how to talk to them. He asked surface questions. What grade are you in? Do you like school? Ruby asked the question that mattered. Why did you leave us? Landon looked uncomfortable. I was young. I was scared. I made a mistake. Did you ever think about us? Owen asked. Every day, Landon said, but Owen did not believe him. I could see it in his face. The visit lasted an hour. It was awkward and painful. Afterwards, the therapist asked the children if they wanted to schedule another visit. All three said no. I am not mad at him, Owen said to me on the drive home. I just do not need him. We already have everything we need. And that was that. Landon had his chance. The children had met their father. Everyone could move forward. 2 years after the wedding exposure, my life was unrecognizable from what it had been. I owned 3 successful bakery locations across Nashville. My cookbook had sold over 500,000 copies. I had been featured in national magazines and morning talk shows. I had moved us into a real house. 4 bedrooms, a backyard, a neighborhood with good schools. The children were thriving. Owen was reading at a 10th grade level in 4th grade. Wyatt had discovered a love of cooking and helped me test recipes. Ruby was writing and illustrating her own stories. Richard and Caroline were devoted grandparents. Weekly visits, birthday parties. They had set up separate college funds beyond what Landon had contributed. Kit had been promoted to senior investigative journalist. Her documentary-style reporting had won awards. Everything had changed, but the best moment came on a random Tuesday afternoon. The children came bursting into the bakery after school, still in their uniforms. Mom, Mom, Ruby shouted. We have news. What is it? Our class is doing a project about heroes, Wyatt explained. We get to pick someone who inspires us. We all picked you, Owen finished. I felt tears spring to my eyes. You did? They nodded enthusiastically. We have to write about why they are heroes, Ruby said. And you are our hero because you never gave up on us, even when everyone else did. My employees were watching. Some of them were crying too. I knelt down and hugged my 3 children. You 3 are my heroes, I whispered. Every single day. The project presentations were held the following week. I took the afternoon off to attend. I sat in the 4th grade classroom with other parents and watched my children present. Owen went first. His poster board had photos of me at the bakery, at my book signing, with them at home. My mom is a hero because she raised 3 kids all by herself, Owen said to the class. She worked really hard so we could have food and a place to live. She never complained. She always made us feel loved. That is a real hero. The class clapped. Several parents wiped their eyes. Wyatt's presentation focused on my business success. My mom had a dream to open a bakery. A lot of people would have given up, but she did not. Now she has 3 locations and wrote a book. She shows us that dreams can come true if you work hard. More applause. Then Ruby presented. Her poster was covered in her drawings. Pictures of our family. Pictures of the bakery. My mom's ex-husband said she was broken, but she is not broken. She is the strongest person I know. She taught us that what people say about you does not matter. What matters is the truth. And the truth is, she is amazing. The entire class gave a standing ovation. The teacher came over to me after. You have raised remarkable children. They have taught me as much as I have taught them, I said. That evening, after the kids were in bed, I sat in my living room and looked at the framed photo on the wall. The 4 of us on opening day of the bakery, all covered in flour, all laughing. I thought about the journey, from that motel room, terrified and alone, to this moment, successful, stable, loved. Landon had tried to erase me, had tried to make me small, had tried to convince the world I was broken. Instead, he had freed me to become exactly who I was meant to be. The woman he called broken had become unbreakable. I pulled out my phone and opened social media. I had not posted much since the book tour ended, but tonight felt like a moment worth sharing. I posted the photo from the Kids Hero Project. all three of them holding their posters. The caption read, "They call me their hero, but the truth is, they saved me. Being their mother has been the greatest honor of my life. To every single parent out there doing it alone, you are not broken. You are building something beautiful. Keep going." The post went viral. Again, thousands of comments from single parents, sharing their stories, their struggles, their victories. I read comment after comment. "Thank you for showing us it is possible. You gave me hope when I was ready to give up. My kids are my heroes too. I fell asleep that night with a full heart." Now, I want to pause here and ask you something. What is the biggest lesson you are taking from this story? Drop it in the comments. And if this story moved you, if it gave you hope or made you believe that truth really does win, I need you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button. Let me know that stories like this matter to you. Second, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe a single parent who is struggling. Maybe someone who has been erased from someone else's story. Remind them they are not broken. They are becoming. Third, subscribe to Love and Twilights with Dr. Phillips. Every week, I bring you stories like this. Real talk about love, loss, resilience, and redemption. We are building a community here of people who believe truth matters and love wins. Because here is what Autumn's story teaches us. The people who try to erase you often end up highlighting you instead. Landon wanted Autumn silent, hidden, forgotten. Instead, his lies forced her into the spotlight. And in that spotlight, she did not just survive. She thrived. Truth always surfaces. You cannot build a life on lies forever. Abandonment does not define the abandoned. It reveals the character of who left. Single parents are heroes. Every single day, doing the impossible. Children remember who showed up, not who walked away. Your rejection is someone else's protection. What feels like devastation might be redirection. Justice may be slow, but it is real. Consequences catch up. You are not your circumstances. You are your response to them. So where are they now? Autumn has 3 successful bakery locations. She is a best-selling author. She speaks at conferences about single parenthood and entrepreneurship. And yes, she started dating again. Someone kind, patient, good with kids. Someone who sees her strength, not her struggles. Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby are 11 now, thriving in school, close with their grandparents, well-adjusted, confident, kind. They see their father twice a year for supervised visits, but they are not defined by his absence. Richard and Caroline are devoted grandparents, weekly visits, college funds. They are making up for lost time and building real relationships with their grandchildren. Kit won awards for her documentary-style journalism. She is still Autumn's best friend, still showing up, still documenting the wins. Landon moved to Charlotte. He works quietly, pays his child support on time now. It is garnished from his accounts, so he does not have a choice. He sees the children twice a year. The visits are awkward. He regrets everything but is too proud to truly apologize. He is not invited to school plays or birthday parties. He missed his chance. Valerie married someone else, had 2 children, lives a happy life. She dodged a bullet. And one more thing happened that Autumn did not expect. 2 years after the book came out, Autumn was contacted by a film producer. They wanted to make a movie based on her story. The movie came out last year. It was called Unbreakable. It starred a well-known actress as Autumn. The wedding scene where she objected with her 3 children became one of the most talked about moments in cinema that year. The film ended with a title card. Autumn's patisserie now has locations in 5 cities. Owen, Wyatt, and Ruby are thriving teenagers. Landon declined to comment for this film. At the premiere, Autumn walked the red carpet with her 3 children. They were teenagers now, confident, poised, proud of their mother. A reporter asked Ruby, "What is it like seeing your family's story on the big screen?" Ruby smiled, the same fearless smile she had when she was 7 years old, walking into that ballroom. "It is a reminder that the truth always wins," Ruby said. "My mom taught us that. No matter how hard it gets, no matter who tries to silence you, the truth always wins." And that, friends, is the end of Autumn's story. But maybe it is also the beginning of yours. Because if you are watching this and you are struggling, if you are a single parent wondering how you will make it through another month, if someone has tried to erase you or call you broken, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not less than. You are not defined by who left you. You are defined by who you are becoming. Autumn stood in a motel room 7 years ago, pregnant and terrified and abandoned. Today, she stands as a successful entrepreneur, best-selling author, and mother to 3 incredible children. Her story is proof that rock bottom can be a foundation. Your current struggle is not your final chapter, so keep going. Keep building. Keep telling the truth. Because 7 years from now, you might be standing in your own version of that ballroom, watching the lies crumble and the truth prevail. And you will be unbreakable too. This is Dr. Phillips reminding you, your story is not over. It is just beginning. Until next time, keep loving, keep growing, and keep believing that truth and love always win. Because they do. They really do. The end.